Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jon Bennett, the Director of the System Source Presentations Department, and I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Top 5 and 10, where we take about 10 minutes to tell you about some of our favorite technologies, products, and systems out there in the audiovisual world. We know everybody's very busy, so we hope we can, excuse me, respect your time a little bit and give you guys some good information. During the webinar, audio is going to be in presentation mode. You can view the webinar in full screen mode. And in either chat or questions, if anything comes up, let me know. Since we are doing this in 10 minutes, I will try to get to any of those after the webinar. So if you have a question, please feel free to hang out and I'll answer them for you. When we're done here, you will receive an evaluation. Please let us know what you thought. Any questions or any information, additional information you might like if you see anything here today. Real quick, for anybody that's not familiar with System Source, we've been a regional systems integrator now for 44 years. We just had our birthday. We love to improve IT operations and AV operations, and clients ask us to train their staff for more productivity, or even rent out our classrooms here on site. We do design, integrate, and service all audiovisual, and have great consultants on the IT side here to help you with any of your needs. Cloud applications are hosted in our data center, or we can help you with Azure and AWS. And with that, we'll get right into it here. So today we're going to talk about our top 5 camera technologies that we think can help you improve your conferencing spaces. A lot of what I'm going to go through today will be vendor specific, but with these technologies, it does exist in a lot of different vendors. So please don't let that worry you there. All right, so for number 1, let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to go for the 800-pound gorilla in the room with Crestron Automate VX. This is probably one of my favorite and the coolest camera systems that is out on the market today. It's an automated AI-enabled production platform. So beyond even what we've seen in a lot of single cameras, this is a very, very interesting and very, very technologically adept system. So what we're seeing here with Automate VX in front of us is this is a multi-camera system that does switching, tracking, all based on voice triangulation in the space. I know a lot of us may have seen things like Owl Labs and other systems that do these, but this is really built for your big spaces. Boardrooms, training rooms, things along those lines to give you a natural broadcast style meeting without anybody having to touch it. It's all done within the Automate VX server. So as I said, great for large meeting rooms, training spaces, and a lot of really cool features here. As we see in front of us here, cameras are generally paired together on top of each other to ensure that as one camera is finding a new speaker, we're not getting any of that motion sickness of watching that head spin on video. Creates a very equitable meeting experience for all of your far end users and allows your users in the room to speak naturally with each other using AI facial tracking. As I'm sitting at a boardroom table and I turn down to the head of the table to talk, the system will detect that I turned my head and find the best camera in the room to recapture me and ensure that I'm looking face on to the camera like we would be sitting in front of our laptops. But with that, I will go ahead and show you a little bit of this. It's a little easier to see as you see it in action than hear about it. So with this, unfortunately, I don't have any audio here, but I will describe what's going on as we go. So what this is going to show is as they start talking to him, this is an actual live recording from Automate VX. As we see, we have a head-on shot of this gentleman and a full shot of the room. As he speaks using third-party microphones able to triangulate audio in the space, the system's going to detect where he's speaking. Now, as this next person speaks, the system detects that and switches to her. All this is happening in real time. All this is happening with no interaction from anybody in the space. It's all paired with Crestron's line of One Beyond cameras. As we see, and you watch it, this is live, and this actually shows up on our system. So again, I think this is probably the coolest and most technologically advanced system out there on the market. So from that, we're going to run into Hudley Crew. Hudley Crew is a multi-camera auto framing system, very, very similar to the Crestron Automate VX, but on a much smaller scale. It still does some of your speaker tracking. It still does some of your auto framing, but it's more built for your small to medium-sized rooms, and it's also a much more economical system. The second thing I like about it is USB plug and play. It does not require the third-party microphones, digital signal processors, a large server device that the Automate VX does, but you still get a lot of that same feature set. So this is going to go into your small to mediums. If you have a large boardroom, it may not be the correct system for you. But again, it's very scalable, up to 5. So the initial kit, as we see here, comes with 3 very small cameras. You can add 2 additional cameras to the Hudley crew and have a couple of different video modes that go in there. So these have been really neat. Again, trying to allow us to have these big conferences and bring people into the office and get away from that bowling alley style view that we may be very used to from the classic single camera at the front of the room looking down the table. Allowing us to position cameras where we're going to see faces, reactions, expressions to create a much more natural meeting in that aspect. So Hudley, we will see another Hudley product down the line, has been a great partner in kind of small, unobtrusive plug and play USB cameras. So definitely something that something to look at and something that's interesting on the market today. So we're going to go back to Crestron here. Again, this is talking a little bit more about the cameras that you would see in the Automate VX system. And again, we're talking about the Crestron camera here. It's our favorite presenter tracking camera. We've used a lot of them. Everybody seems to have one. I mean, you may be familiar with this technology. I mean, we look at the things that we hear between auto framing, auto tracking, and just about everything is doing auto framing these days, which is trying to judge how many people are in the room and make that camera shot as best as possible. Now, presenter tracking camera, what these are is they're using AI to track bodies or faces, depending on the camera, to follow a presenter to the front of the room. So if you have classrooms, presentation spaces, things along those lines where, you know, we no longer want to see our presenters locked to a lectern or a single wide camera shot, because we're seeing these hybrid meetings and, you know, we lose that, the human element that way. So with this, it's very smooth. It can be operated in both auto tracking mode and standard PTZ mode, so you're not locked into that. Like I said, any of these spaces, they're great for whether it's a boardroom that you want to have presentations in, or if you're a school and you have a classroom and you want your teachers to be able to move and interact with the students while still interacting with the people on the hybrid side. These are great. Out of all of them that we've used, not to say that we don't love Crestron, I have the best reviews from my technicians on this: is ease of setup, accuracy, speed. So we really think this is a neat camera here. This utilizes, as we see at the bottom, there's a small circle, a secondary camera that reads the room, is detecting people moving in and out of the frame that we set, and does a great job of tracking them throughout the space. So again, really cool technology here. We're putting them in everywhere. It hopefully can benefit you in some of your spaces. All right. So there were some questions that came up today, and I mean, we get this a lot about Owl Labs. So we love Owl Labs. They were the first to the market with the center of the room camera system. They do it really well. The one thing, now they're getting there now, they're a little slow to it, is before they started providing additional devices like camera bars, things along those lines, you were really locked into just that center of the room speakerphone. We couldn't integrate it with larger systems. It was a USB plug and play device. And so when we got into these bigger spaces, we moved people away. Now Owl has come up, and now we can connect multiple center of the room 360 cameras. But what I wanted to talk to today, because I think there's one feature here with Neat, if anyone's familiar with Neat, which is a large conferencing company. They do a lot of Teams and Zoom rooms and boards. There is one feature here that I found the other day that I thought was really cool, because we all have these tables. It's limited space. We don't want permanent things on them, because whether we use them as a service bar for a party, we don't want to spill coffee on stuff. And that's the ceiling mount for the Neat Center here. So we can see in this picture, it's actually can be suspended from the ceiling. So this is exactly what the Owl Labs camera does. And if you're not familiar with that, it is a center of the room 360 audio and video camera. There's multiple camera lenses around the outside of this device. that can project to your meeting either a panoramic shot of the users or chop that shot up to capture up to, I believe, 4 or 5 individual users in your meeting. So if you have round tables, small to medium spaces, these are definitely some neat, easy, lower cost ways to get some of these equitable meetings going and get away from that just standard camera shot at the front of the room. Now, Neat Center here again is in the Neat ecosystem. It's not a USB device. Logitech now has one as well that integrates with its devices, and then there's always Owl Labs, which is kind of your agnostic device. The one thing that we're not seeing with Owl Labs, I've heard it for a while, is I believe it is Zoom and Zoom Room certified. I do not believe Microsoft has certified it yet for Teams. So that's where we have a couple issues there. But beyond the ceiling mount that we see, there's also table mounts and all kinds of stuff. And again, Neat has a great ecosystem of built-in boards with Zoom rooms and Teams rooms in them. Speaker bars with the same, so a very cool setup and system here. All right, and last but not least, I've always thought these are really neat, and I know we're kind of, the world is moving towards the Epson Brightlinks and the touch monitors, but I wanted to touch a little bit on Huddly Canvas and other whiteboard cameras that you may or may not know about. If anybody is out there still using, whiteboards in an engineering lab, things like that, where you really want that real estate for whiteboarding and your team is really used to that, it's quick, it's easy, but we want to collaborate. I mean, that's the name of the game these days, is collaboration. And how do I do that with a whiteboard in the room effectively with someone that may be on the West Coast? And that's where whiteboard cameras come into play. Again, a lot of these through many different companies. As we said, we're talking about Huddly here, Logitech has one, everybody has one. But they mount above your whiteboards. And the Huddly Canvas here is a certified content camera device for Teams and Zoom, so it shows up separate from your camera as content. And it not only takes that video of the whiteboard and allows you to use it within your conferencing applications, it enhances the whiteboard, it adjusts contrast, reduces glare, brightens your markers. And then the really cool thing that these all do is they tend to scrub the human out. So I could be standing in front of this writing and the users are either not going to see my hand or just a very faint image of my hand to really get that in there. So again, if you have any spaces that you're using whiteboards in, these are a really neat product. All right, and with that, I am actually running a little over. I apologize. So again, we appreciate your time here today. I know these are quick, but hopefully you saw something that might spur some conversations, help you kind of move you towards where maybe your next upgrades are. And if you want to hear about anything more, we want to talk a little longer about any of these products or any other manufacturers I haven't talked about today, let me know in your survey, please, and I'll have someone reach out to you. We're happy to spend some time and give you some information. With the Automate VX, that is definitely something that I can set up with Crestron. They have a great sightline experience lab with an Automate system. They love doing live demos for customers. If you're even just interested to see this thing in action, let me know. We'll get you set up. But we have a couple of them out there, and they're phenomenal. So again, we appreciate your time today, and we'll talk to you all soon.